affairs analyst Kimberly Dozier. Good morning to you. So let's talk about this new language. It focuses on the period during the first of three phases of the proposal where Israel and Hamas were expected to start more negotiations with the intention of activating a second phase. It sounds very complicated when the disagreement here is very clear and sharp. What's the promise of this new language, finessing the words in the proposal when what they want, it's very obvious that they're not going to, at least at this phase, get to that agreement?
Well, this proposal does much like the Oslo Peace Accords did way back when in terms of Palestinian-Israeli peace. It leaves the hard stuff to the middle and later phase. And what Hamas is saying is they want some of that moved to the first phase. Hamas is saying we want demilitarization, the IDF withdrawal from Gaza, and we want a permanent ceasefire. Israel is saying, trust but verify. We want to see that you actually give more of those hostages back before we get into discussions about demilitarization and an eventual permanent ceasefire. Plus, Netanyahu is still saying that he hasn't given up on the complete destruction of Hamas. What you've got are two sides, each trying to make sure that they survive. Hamas needs the demilitarization and the permanent ceasefire so that every last one of its leaders doesn't get hunted down by the IDF. For Netanyahu's part, if he agrees to either a ceasefire permanently or a withdrawal, his government coalition will collapse. He's got hardline members who've said that's a non-starter. They pull out. That would trigger elections. And all the current opinion polls show that Netanyahu would lose those elections.
Let me ask you also about the rhetoric between Israel and Iran about a potential for a full-fledged war with Hezbollah. The Iranians have said that there would be an obliterating war if Israel goes on this full-fledged attack against Hezbollah. And Israel has said that a regime that threatens destruction deserves to be destroyed. Is a full-scale war between Israel and Hezbollah in Lebanon more likely, increasingly likely?
Possible, but nobody wants it. The IDF is tired. It's run out of recruits. Right now, there's a move within the Israeli government to, as ordered by the Israeli High Court, to even draft ultra-religious Haredi men who have been previously not allowed not to serve. So what's happening is the IDF is not ready for another full-scale war. It's in a holding action against Hezbollah in the north, even as it makes plans if a war is forced on it. However, some members of the government want a full-scale war against Hezbollah. Hezbollah, meanwhile, has something like 150,000 weapons, missiles, some of them very sophisticated, that could reach every major Israeli city. And as U.S. officials have told CNN and Israeli officials have previously said, too many missiles for Iron Dome to fight off. And some of them, many of them, would get through and cause many civilian casualties. So that's why it's a war that nobody wants, but that's why Iran keeps threatening it.
Let me ask you about the domestic issue of the day and the impact on global politics. If President Biden were to decide that he is not going to run for re-election, what would be the impact globally of that announcement?
You know, it depends on who he anoints as a possible successor and what their election chances are. I've talked to diplomats for months who give me mixed reviews of what it's like to meet with Biden. Some say he is cogent, on target in briefings, runs complicated meetings well. Others say that they've seen these lapses like we all saw on the debate, and that sparks concern. But they're even more afraid of a Donald Trump presidency. Those that I've spoken to, because of what it might mean for Ukraine, they're afraid that Donald Trump would be too close to Russia, maybe even do deals with China that would leave many of the U.S.'s Western allies holding the short end of the stick, in charge of defending Ukraine themselves, and possibly facing Trump strong-arming Ukraine into giving up territory to make peace with Russia.
All right, Kimberly Dozier, good to have you on a Sunday. Thank you.
And still to come, jurors in the Karen Read trial say they can't reach a verdict. What is next in this legal drama? And be sure to watch the whole story with Anderson Cooper tonight on CNN. CNN's Boris Sanchez takes a deeper look at the conflict between fishermen and shark conservationists.
Christina Zanato aims to heal those wounded by fishing hooks.
So when a shark shows up with a hook, I try to see where the hook is lodged. If the shark is willing, I maybe stop the shark, try to grab the hook.
Do you think the shark knows you're trying to help it?
Yeah, I do. Otherwise, why would she keep coming back when it hurts? Because trying to remove a hook hurts, but she'll do a tight circle and come back in.
In 30 years of removing more than 350 hooks, Zanato says she's never been bitten by a shark.
It can be sometimes demanding, but the satisfaction of being able to relieve a shark of that presence is enormous.